we should be live, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so
Hey,
we're gonna try this again. Hopefully, this works. We've had to do a lot of different troubleshooting in terms of trying to figure out how to make sure that we do this correctly. This is the first time that we've ever done a stream online. So
I know.
this is def.
Usually I'm holed up in the bunker in the lab with you, Han Solo, the banana, and Kobe watching over us.
Dude, the studio is sitting tight, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's definitely one of the weirder things to look at when you talk about, man, we're in the middle of like a really weird time. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way to
Yeah, dude.
kind of put it.
I
But
feel like I'm in Bizarro world. Like I've lost track of days and time. Up is down, left is up. Republicans are socialists now. Like I just don't even know. I don't even know what's happening.
dude, I think that that pretty much sums it up. I mean, there's a lot of weird things going on. It definitely is bizarro world. The crazy thing is, this some people are saying that this is just like the beginning too, dude. So I don't know.
I
There's
know. Well, they've been saying that the reason why we need to flatten the curve right now is that so the virus doesn't mutate or that a new strain doesn't evolve based out of it. And they really referenced like the Spanish flu of 100 years ago that it wasn't the first wave that killed a lot of people. It was the second wave after it mutated, and people who had caught it the first time around and survived it were catching it the second time, but it had just been much more deadlier. And so I think that's really what people are like worried about and what we're trying to hope for with flattening the curve is hopefully we don't see that second wave come, June, July because some dipshit wanted to get high on the beach in Miami.
Dude, I think that that's probably what's gonna happen in terms of seeing those videos of all those people out on the beach still. I mean, dude, you can turn on videos of people like having a softball game. Like I looked at I think I saw a softball game get played maybe a week ago or this past week in Tennessee high school. And it's just like, I mean, eventually people are just going to have to learn by either having somebody that they care about being impacted or they themselves being impacted. And it's just really kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, it's so weird because I feel like there is so many things that I've just taken away from like this whole situation. One being like so many jobs can be done remotely. Like there are
Yeah.
just so many people in different industries are all doing their jobs remotely. Like they brought their monitors home, their high cost bars, their kitchen counters, their desks.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that can be done remotely. And then probably what my biggest revelation throughout all of this is I realized how much I love touching my face, or how often I touch my face.
Dude. Yeah, it's definitely something you got to watch out for because they're like, yo, don't touch your face, wash your hands, maintain 6 feet away from everybody. So.
And you're like, got it, I'm gonna do that. And then 2 minutes later, you're like, ooh, I'm hot.
Gotta
And
touch my
it's just
face.
like, damn it. Yeah, gotta be like MC Hammer, bro. Can't touch this.
Dude, well, just to let everybody know, while everybody's holed up in terms of, whether you're self quarantining, whether you're still going to work, you can find our podcast on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And if you guys give us a chance to, get a little bit of a like, maybe get a little subscribe, that definitely helps the podcast. It helps our channel grow. You can find us on YouTube on Total Media Live, or you can go ahead and search up any of the videos that we do. We do a lot of content here. Nick, dude, I'm you moved into a new place, and I think that's huge news for you, dude. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, we were 24 days without a home. So the tornado hit March 3rd, and we moved in yesterday, which was March 27th. So yeah, dude, we were couch hopping and house hopping for over 3 weeks, and I can't believe that it's actually finally here. I kind of was like half expecting to go in and sign my lease, and then they would just kind of be like, "Oh, just kidding."
By the way, something else just happened. Yeah, dude,
Something
I
else
can.
happened. Fuck you. That's what just happened.
I know what you mean, dude. Sometimes it feels like when one bad thing happens, it starts snowballing, and it snowballs even more and more, and the next thing you're just like, man, I am up a shit's creek. but
Yeah, exactly.
but you guys, I mean, big credit to you and Sam. You guys have been able to be a great example of people in Nashville that have been devastated by these events. You know, I was listening to somebody else talk about how they were like in California. Could you imagine if like a natural disaster happened in California right now while they're all in quarantine and all locked down? You know, like what if an earthquake hit in California right now? How
I
bad would
know. I
that be?
mean, that's the equivalent of what's happened here. Is because like our apartment got hit by the tornado on I think it was a what was the third? Was it like a Monday or a Tuesday? Somewhere in there. I think
Yeah,
it was like whatever it was in between. Yeah. So hit late Monday night, early Tuesday morning,
yeah.
and then NBA suspended their season that Friday.
Dude, honestly, that whole week and ever since then, it's just been like we said, bizarro world. I mean, I don't. In talking to my family and talking to my friends, nobody has ever seen a place in time like what we're seeing right now. I mean, this
Yeah.
is truly, once every 100 years, I guess you could say, right?
Exactly. I mean, literally, like the last pandemic was 1918.
Yeah, and a lot of people will bring that up when they start talking about this pandemic and whenever they go ahead and compare it. Dude, like, I remember seeing like a post on Twitter that was like, there's been a plague every 100 years since like the 1700s. If you talk about like influenza, smallpox,
Mm-hmm.
and golly, what was the other one? The plague. I think that
Yeah,
was
the
I think that was
plague,
the
the
third one, the bubonic
bubonic
plague.
plague.
So like I think it's like 1700, 1800, 1900, and now the 2000s. But each
Mm-hmm.
20s decade or so, there's been a pandemic. So I remember seeing a tweet about that, and then lo and behold, shout out to Pizza the cat. But lo and behold, we've got this going
Pizza the
on.
cat that lives here.
But hey, shout out to Pizza, dude. I haven't seen Pizza in it feels like forever.
Oh yeah, bro. Pizza was the best like emergency trooper. She just held her ground. She had to stay with like six other pets throughout the entire like course of our house hopping, and she hates them all. Like
Dude,
she hated every single one of them, including Lucille and Fred. Her, dude, when we were staying in Nathan's, like, like so we stayed in your room, and so Pizza basically just hunkered down in there because she didn't want anything to do with the pets. But the entire time, Fred almost never left the other side of the bed. He just would sit on the other side of the door, looking under there, looking at her, and he would like intermittently hiss, or like, and then she would hiss back because I hear it from the other side. But Sam calls them star-crossed lovers who don't know it yet.
dude, pets and cats in particular, man, they're so weird sometimes, man. You have no idea what to expect, right? You're just like, I don't know if they like each other, maybe they love each other, and then we can't really tell unless like,
Yeah, I mean, half the time, like she hated and detested all these cats, but like half the time, I expected to just come home from work one day and just see like them sitting on the couch together.
dang.
Those are my heart hoped, but yeah, pizza was not about that life.
Yeah, but dude, yeah, I can't wait to check out the new place and see. Every time, you know, it's always talked about how pets have to get accommodated to wherever they're at now. So I'm sure there's all sorts of like new hiding places and new like places that
Oh yeah,
pizza's all about.
she's already tried to go behind our washer and dryer, and
By the way,
that's like the one place.
for those of y'all that can't see, obviously pizza is a cat, a feline, a awesome feline. Not necessarily literally a pizza. For those of you who are like, what? Why are they talking about pizza? But
Nope, just pizza the cat. You can find her at hashtag pizza the cat on social.
hashtag pizza the cat. Oh yeah, there it is, dude. But yeah, like I said, it's just when you talk about a natural disaster hitting at the same time as all this Corona stuff, dude. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why Nashville has been so like harshly hit during this time period. Like Tennessee
Yeah,
is exploding in number of cases too. It's just like, oh,
yeah. I mean, there's all, and like that's the thing that sucks is like, half these local businesses got destroyed in East Nashville, and so like they're already dealing with that, and then their limitations to, what they have access to repair their things, like because of coronavirus, like is so difficult. Like, I mean, they can't get like the construction. They probably can't I feel like these businesses are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it's really sad to see, and it breaks my heart because there's just so many institutions that like I
Yeah.
hold dear that are in this city that are suffering, and it's just tough because you know, nobody really knows the future. And, I know
Yeah.
the government just passed a stimulus plan. And so hopefully that is able to find some sort of relief. But, the fact that you have to take that money is just kind of a grim reality. And, it's kind of a bummer that we have to be at that point.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at a small business or a business in East Nashville, imagine this: you just got hit by a tornado, so everybody is like helping in terms of picking stuff up and trying to rebuild. So you've actually got a little
Right,
bit of a bright spot, right? And then all of a sudden, this Corona stuff hits, and all those people that are helping are now
right.
scared to come out and help. They're scared out to volunteer. All of a sudden, it's harder to hire people to work because people are somewhat scared to be in close contact like that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
actually it made things even worse. It took it to
I
a
mean,
whole nother level.
I can't tell you how many people gave me a hug after they told me that my place had been destroyed, and then
Dude, yeah.
like maybe we shouldn't have hugged because you know social distancing. So it's like big
Yeah.
yucks.
Hey, I remember the last time you're the last person. No, Bo's the last person that I hugged. But I was gonna say it was like a week before all this stuff started going down. I was like, oh man. But yeah, dude. I mean, even giving somebody a hug is kind of hard. And dude, it's weird because people talk about how like hugs make people feel better and all that science behind that. So I don't know, man. It's the whole coronavirus thing is kind of weird because like I said, Tennessee had this natural disaster happen, especially Nashville, right? And Putnam
Yeah.
County and Cookville. And then obviously they had those people helping out, but with all this corona stuff, all that volunteer work goes away and now these businesses are left kind of like picking up the pieces, you
Yeah,
know.
and the people that have been displaced too, like, we're so fortunate to have had such a strong support system with people who have helped us, who have cared about us, and I think we both been pretty capable and we were able to spring into action. But there are so many people, even in this city, who are nowhere near as fortunate as we are. And it's just so hard because like now like people have to stay away from them and like people have, you have to socially distance, but how do you socially distance when you don't have a home? Like I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it's tough. I mean, we stayed at a hotel for 3 days and there was I think there were maybe like 10 people staying in that hotel, and I bet you half of them were people that were displaced by the tornado because we saw some absolutely just decimated cars in our parking lot.
Oh my gosh, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just weird times, but maybe there's some brighter things on the horizon. So, important question: what are you gonna do with your UBI, your universal basic income, your 1,200 for the month that you'll? It's probably not enough, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Or let me rephrase that: if you need to save it, you need to save it. But what would you make with your? What would be a treat yourself purchase that you would make with it?
Dude, easily the first thing that I said in the group chat, a Nintendo Switch, one
Hell
thousand
yeah,
percent,
bro.
1,000%. Like,
Yeah, bro, get a Nintendo Switch, and then you can go further into debt with Tom Nook.
I mean, look, I'm gonna go all the way in. I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole of Animal Crossing and all that if I go with the Switch, man. Okay, but no, dude. I honestly, the it's interesting because I wonder when we're gonna get this $1,200. You know what I mean? Like, what is the time period? Because I don't know, in our last podcast, actually, we talked about April 6th as being a potential date. We kind of heard that date floated around amongst our work group, and somebody said April 6th could potentially be the date that we receive this income. And
So
it's
I have
interesting.
something interesting to add to that. So
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off, but so I got at about 1:14 a.m. while I was playing Fortnite. I got an email from my bank, and they talked about the government stimulus package. And so I'm going to read you some of the information that they gave us about this. So
Mm-hmm.
for benefits for individuals, we're getting tax credits in the form of checks or direct deposit in the amounts of 1,200 per adult and 500 per child to individual filers earning less than $75,000 annually, and then 1,200 per adult and 500 for earning less than 150,000. So no action is needed for the qualified individuals to receive this benefit. And my bank is doing something where if you have an account with them that you use for either direct deposit or payout via like your tax refund,
Mm-hmm.
you will automatically receive a direct deposit of payment within a month. So they're saying that it's probably going to take about a month, maybe like, more or less, you know, give a week or something like that. But it's definitely
Wow.
coming in April from what that email like says to me.
Wow, dude. Honestly, that's huge in terms of getting news there. I have not received an email from my bank just yet that I've seen. I might have
Yeah,
to scope through them a little bit, but
I'm fifth third, so if you're a fifth third user listening to this podcast, you can rest easy to know that your Andrew Yang bucks are coming this way.
dude, that it's crazy to see how all this has kind of spiraled into a real idea, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so obviously we've got an election going on right now, which, dude, this is
Yep.
it's a whole nother thing, right? But we've
Right.
got this election going on in the background where there was a candidate by the name of Andrew Yang who ran on the idea of giving everybody a freedom dividend. He called it the freedom dividend. It's $1,000 every month to every American citizen that could opt in. And he went, qualified for a few debates. He had some success, but he eventually dropped out and became a political commentator for CNN. And so Andrew Yang's idea of the freedom dividend, some people are saying that Mitt Romney endorsed it after the coronavirus impact hit. And then obviously our Congress just passed the corona stimulus package. So some people would basically say that Andrew Yang influenced us getting this $1,200 and by kind of bringing this idea to the table. And I probably would agree with that. But it's just weird seeing a policy like this in a country that's typically, you know, reap what you sow, no free handouts,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of work for what you get.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's a little strange, right?
Yeah, exactly. But maybe this $1,200 will allow people to buy these bootstraps that people talk about pulling up on all the time.
I mean, it's weird too because I don't know that we're gonna get this but one time. So it basically seems like it's setting up for a one time payment, and then we better hope this thing is over.
Yeah.
which, which that sounds impossible. If I'm being real, if
Yeah.
if you told me that a month from now things are going to be 100% back to normal, I would be like, "Are you sure? are you? Are you? How do you know? You know what I mean?" So I don't know, dude.
No, for me, dog. Yeah, well, that's what the thing is, I feel like they're maybe trying to like do this now and have that remedy, but like, what happens when like we roll into month two, we roll into month three, we roll
Exactly.
into month four, like, people still got to pay their rent, like $1,200, like 1,200 doesn't even cover our rent. Like, you know, I mean, obviously we have two people in our house, two people living in the same space, so like obviously that covers it. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, we pay the more than $1,200 a month for our rent. So, like, and there's people in similar boats and
Yeah.
in more higher stakes boats. So like, you gotta think that like if this rolls on into June or July, they're gonna have to cut you another dividend, right?
Well, dude. Okay, it's weird because all right, let's analyze this. Okay, if you're a family of four and you're married, okay, and your family makes under that $75,000, you, you have to realize that basically uh, you're gonna get it two. You're gonna get 1,500 two times, right? Or 1,200 two times. So that's 2,400. And then aren't you getting a credit for your kids too? Aren't your kids getting like
Yeah, you
500?
get $500 credit.
So you're getting $3,400 for a family of four. Am I based on what I understand? If you make under $7,500, so okay,
75,000.
75,000. Yeah. So
If you make under $7,500 a year, I'm gonna go lobby for your federal rights.
well, dude, I mean, honestly, it kind of makes sense. Okay, let's just because I don't know. So like I teach personal finance, obviously, and it makes me look at a lot of like salaries and professions, right? So like let's just say
Mhm.
that one of you is a nurse and one of you is a teacher, right? Or one of
Mhm.
you is a
Right, which
doctor and one of you is a teacher. You know, when you start looking at some of those professions, some of those people are going to get automatically ruled out.
yeah,
Okay, so like you have to look at the jobs like the most popular job, like truck driver and maybe the other person doesn't work, or truck driver and maybe like side job, so they can stay with the
right.
kids. Because you got to think
Well, yeah, like
if one person's a truck driver, they're always gone. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So like as a family, I don't know, man. I mean, and a truck driver's going to make anywhere from 40 to 60, as much as $80,000 a year. So
Yeah,
like a family of four that has a truck driver and like a side job is, I mean, they're probably getting $3,400, and that's not, you know, a ton. We just we just really slowed down. Hopefully, hopefully,
you're
hope,
back though.
hopefully we're back on. Hopefully we're back on. I don't know. This is we're having some technical. Okay, yeah, we should be good. But once again, so $3,400, right? So, and then if you look at it, 75,000 dollars, okay, and you divide that by 12, that family's used to seeing around $5,000 of income a month. Around
Right.
4,000. So it doesn't even necessarily replace a full month's worth of income.
Right, yeah, it's and like that's the thing is like people like me who work in food service or like young 20 somethings where our expenses are relatively low, we don't have kids yet, like you know it's okay for us, like we're able to at least offset a good chunk of our costs. But right, when you start having two, three kids, like it's not enough money. Like you're gonna it's like it's there to basically stop the bleeding, not necessarily advance your life. And I
Yeah.
think that's the difference between what UBI is meant to be versus what the stimulus package represents. The UBI comes from the idea that we all should be entitled to a universal basic income while we're still working, while we're still paying our bills. But that $1,000 is meant to really help offset your bills, so you can use the money that you make from your job to live the life that you want to fulfill. So it's
Yeah.
that idea that that income is there to offset your expenses, and so maybe you're making $1,000 bucks. Maybe you can take a couple shifts less than work. Maybe you can go, use that money to help pay for a vacation. So it's meant to really more so enhance your life rather than allow for your survival versus what the stimulus package is helping us survive.
You know what's
That makes sense.
interesting? If you make that point, then that's basically, I think if everybody kind of understands that, we may come out of this and we might actually adopt it long term if we need it long term. Could you could,
Yeah.
could you could you imagine like a worst case scenario where this thing continues for 2 3 months and they have to do it again? I mean, they're gonna run out of money. Like because I don't know if you've seen like
Oh
the
yeah.
all the stories about like record numbers of unemployment in the United States being filed. Like the idea behind universal basic income, from what I've seen, is you would take the money away from programs like Social Security, even programs possibly like Medicare. Uh,
Yeah. A wealth tax. That's another one.
yeah, and I've even heard that they would get rid of like programs like unemployment and programs like welfare, because if everybody was getting $1,200 a month, you wouldn't need welfare, you wouldn't
Yeah.
need Medicare, you wouldn't need Social Security.
I mean,
So
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, you're getting money through UBI, but it's more so that like Medicare, or is it Medicaid, or Medicaid is for low income families, low income households. I think Medicare is for like the elderly folks.
yeah, I think they're talking
And
about, yeah,
so
they would get rid of that too, is what I'm saying. Yeah. It would completely get rid of social programs
Yeah.
in
So
general in order to pay for it, which is
right. So it really eliminates the aspect of social being, you qualify for Medicare via age, you qualify for Medicaid via via income, you qualify for Social Security via age.
yeah,
So it really just kind of eliminates the stipulation and allows people across the entire like population to be able to qualify for UBI. And I mean, I think it's a beautiful idea, and I think it's very in line with my own and personal ideology plus just everything around that.
yeah,
But I mean, I think we're gonna have to see over the next few months whether or not like we see that properly implemented,
yeah.
and if people are still being able to survive off of that money, and if they even give us more money. But like, I mean, I'm thinking about like what I would do with like I asked you what you would do with a Nintendo Switch. Fortunately, I have a Nintendo Switch, but like I would take that $1,200 and just continue like I'm sitting as well as I can. I would take that $1,200 and just put it in the bank, or
Yeah.
like just being able to save it. Let's say they give it like let's say like neither of our works deteriorate over the next couple of months, and we're able to continually save that money while also being able to pay our rent, but maybe cutting back on expensive, not being able to drink like White Claw or something like that, and saving that money and eventually not being able to buy a house or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's what we're kind of seeing. But our country likes to have their dick hard for the bootstraps that I've aforementioned. But
Yeah.
so we'll have to see whether or not people respond to this idea. But like, I mean, people like to complain about the people who like to complain about free crap. Trust me, if they were given free crap, they would take it.
I mean, a lot of the time you're right. I mean, if you yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, a lot of Republicans are behind this $1,200
Mm-hmm.
this one time, and typically Republicans are not necessarily for social programs like this. And so we're starting to
Right.
see. I think we're starting to see on both sides that people are making exceptions for how they should how things should be done. And I
Yeah.
think that that's good. I think that's like somewhat negotiating, right? Like you may be a
Yeah.
Republican, but you're okay with this dividend because or this handout because people are really like needing it right now. And
Yeah.
and I think that like I said that's good because we need both sides to do that. We need both sides to give and take.
Mm-hmm.
One professor that I had always this definition has always stuck in my mind, but he said politics is the art of negotiation. That's all it is. If you can negotiate, that is
Yeah.
politics. So
Honestly, every time that you see, every time you're saying that kind of stuff, I just keep thinking of like that General Grievous like cutscene where it's like, ah, yes, the negotiator.
I mean, dude, listen. Sometimes you have to negotiate with a pen. Sometimes you have to negotiate with a sword. It just kind of depends. But I think we would like to see our country fundamentally get better with more the stroke of a pen than a sword. And so I hope that
Yeah.
this pandemic, I hope that there are some good things that come out of it, like potentially universal basic income, because
Mm.
I think that if people understand the concept of it's not meant to replace your job, it's
Mm.
meant to supplement your life. I think when people understand that, I think this could be something that we do for a long period of time. But you can't depend on
Oh
twelve hundred
yeah.
dollars to pay your rent and feed your family. You have to do
Exactly.
something else, and it's not. And that's what makes this, I think, a little bit better of an idea than just everybody saying, everybody gets a free handout, and it's a large enough sum where you don't have to work anymore. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this is
I
a
mean,
good meet in the middle.
and I think that's also like just a talking point because like we said, our country in the past has had a like they want to distance themselves from those types of social programs, and so I think that when you come from the idea that you're right, like I think that's the boiling point, and it's weird because of the circumstances, but UBI is not meant to determine your survival. But let's say like, but if you're getting that $1,000 a month, imagine all the artists that could go on tour, that could, really follow their passion as a job if they were having like a little benchmark of $1,000 every month to be able to take care of their stuff, and then they can go and work and do what they actually want to do
Yeah.
versus what they're forced to do based on their education, based on their location, based on their
Yeah.
income, based on anything like that. And so that's what I think people are missing the mark on because they just kind of want to go herp or burp, no free crap. Like I mean, and I that's what I think we're gonna see over the next maybe 6 months, especially depending on how long the pandemic is coming, is we're seeing the consolidation of commercial real estate where people are like, I mean, there's a good chance the commercial real estate market might tank because even after this because so many companies might see the value of working from home and they're like I mean hell what's a lease on a commercial place like anywhere from like 3 to 10K a month, I guess. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, depending on the size of the office, and like,
Yeah.
that like if the like corporate boards, they're gonna have like if they can cut, let's say like there's a big office on like a big building floor, they're paying like 10 grand a month. I don't know actual market values, but I'm using it as a frame of reference. But 10 times 12, 100,000, $120,000 a year. If you can cut $120,000 from your budget, wouldn't you do that? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just when that's something that we had to go through when we were launching this LLC. Um, but office space is super expensive. Let's talk about the business aspect of what COVID-19 is doing, man. I mean, we had a guest last week on that talked about how his business lost, deals of $1.5 million. And that's just for, literally the projects of like this couple of months. So like that's not even the whole year. So if his small business is losing $1.5 million, how much are some of these other businesses losing? And multiply that times hundreds. I
yeah.
mean, this is gonna really shake up the way that people do stuff. Now, what's the hurdle in working like remotely? I think the big hurdle is you're still gonna need office space for an official business location. Like that's the one thing
Mm-hmm.
that you gotta keep in mind. So they're still gonna need to maintain like a legitimate office space, whether it's like through virtual office or through a brick and mortar type rent deal, like we're talking about with commercial. But yeah, dude, I mean, a lot of these companies are gonna find out that they can use their workers remotely. But here's the big problem that nobody's really talking about. If we do that, that's going to put more stress on workers to work from at home. That means you're never leaving work. I mean,
Yeah, that's very true.
soak that in for a second. Like it's enough already that we have a smartphone that no matter where we are, we can be in a group message with our colleagues from work, our boss from work. No matter where we are, all of a sudden we can be contacted. Now it's going to be, oh, you're at home, okay. You're sick, okay. Work from home. Oh, you're sick, okay. Yeah, I still expect all this stuff to be done. Oh, you,
Right.
you
Yeah.
you're taking a leave of absence? I think you can do some of this work at home anyways. It's
And
just it's opening up Pandora's box for another revolution in terms of the way we do work.
and I mean that's kind of also where workers' rights come in, where like you're entitled, like that might be like where you have to physically clock in for the day, and like you have
Oof.
to prove that you worked like in 8 hours or something like that, and then workers' rights come in where you can't be infringed upon after a certain X amount of hours or something like that. But like even then, like I mean, you know, in certain industries, you're kind of just always on call. Like that's just it. Like I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a
doctors and
publicist. I have to
nurses, absolutely.
yeah, I'm a publicist. I have to set up interviews on Saturdays and Sundays, like sometimes early in the morning, and like make sure that I'm awake. So it's like, if it's like somebody got an interview at 8 a.m., like I need to make sure that I'm awake in case somebody doesn't pick up their phone. So I have to go and make sure that like everything's okay, and then patch somebody in and stuff like that. Like I mean, sometimes it's just a never-ending business, and like yeah, I think that's a really good point that some people might never quote unquote stop working if they're working from home because their office is readily accessible.
I mean, that's one of the problems that you hear about in China is that there a lot of people from China that are successful complain of being worked to death. They complain of they have, 15, 18-hour days because they want to get ahead.
Right.
And like, dude, that if it can happen somewhere else, it can happen here.
Oh
I
yeah.
think we've got to understand that, right? And so with that in mind, you're like, it's a slippery slope, dude. And then let's talk about this for a second. Have you used? I mean, okay, I know your answer to this question because we're using it now. But have you used Zoom before at all before today?
Before this instance, no, I have not. I really like it. It's a new platform.
So Zoom looks really awesome, and I'm gonna throw it out there. Uh, we're doing football workouts on Zoom right now. So we're not able to go to football, so our replacement is we're having you know basically football workouts online on a Zoom, and
Mm-hmm.
it is something. But the thing that I've noticed is Zoom is apparently coming under a lot of flack because it can like whoever's in charge of the meeting in some cases, if they pay for like the premium versions and stuff, they can tell whether or not you've clicked off the window. They can tell whether or not the screen is active. I mean, like there's all sorts of information that Zoom gives the person that's running the meeting. So like the way it's being used in colleges is if you haven't seen that viral clip of like Peyton Manning showing up to a UT online Zoom, but like
No, I
there's
haven't seen that.
it's really cool actually. But there's like 10, 15, 20 screens on the or little windows on the screen, right? And
Yeah.
basically one your professor talks and you can see everybody's face and everybody's screen all at the same time. But like
Right.
Zoom is creating like kind of privacy issues where why are you able to tell what I'm doing on my computer through this program? How much information is it feeding Zoom, right?
Right. I can tell if you're clicking out. Let's say you're like, like shopping on Amazon for something while you've
Yeah.
got the lecture going on in the background. Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, everybody in the history of forever has multitasked, and I don't want to hear it from any damn boomer who's not on Facebook at their job because you know that they are. I mean, I am too, but I know you are too. So,
Well, like it's just that was always a thing in college, dude. Like I remember when I like 2009 through 2013 when I was going to classes, I would always bring my laptop unless the professor didn't let me. And my ass was always on Facebook trying to hit somebody up, trying to, trying to find something to do after class, you know what I'm saying? Or like I was checking my
yeah.
fantasy football lineup or something, you know what I mean? Like I was
Right.
I was
And
not
Reddit
100%.
these days, like,
Yeah, and Reddit these days. But like, I was on like, you know, text from last night, cracking up in class, trying to like, pay attention, but also like so I can totally relate to the fact that, yo, man, probably not paying attention. And I'll be real honest with you. I did not have my screen active on Zoom. Okay? I could hear the volume, but I was out, dude. I was passed out. I was just like, I was sitting there snoring and stuff, dude. But like that's the other thing on Zoom that's going on is that some of these people like don't even have their screen on. So like they're in the lecture, but they're not like you can't even tell if they're listening.
yeah, exactly.
So
And
I don't know, dude. It's weird.
yeah, dude, we're moving deeper and deeper into the digital age. Like we thought we've been in the digital age for what the past like 14, 15 years, but like we're about like depending on how long coronavirus lasts, like we're really gonna plunge deeper and deeper. I mean, I remember seeing like there like Phoenix Suns are like simulating the rest of their season like on Twitch on 2K. Like that's
Dude,
the
they
world that
probably
we're living in right now.
they probably did better on 2K than they do in real life because they are
Oh yeah,
terrible. They're no
it's
no. What
fun.
is
It'll be fun.
what is Charles Barkley say? They're terrible. They're
Horrible.
terrible. Because obviously Charles Barkley played for the Suns, so he can say that. But
Yeah.
but no, he was my funniest moments of Chuck talking about Charles Barkley talking about the Phoenix Suns is he went on this rant for the longest time how he would guarantee victories for the Suns. He's like, I guarantee it. And then they would go like 0-8. I mean, because the Suns just have
Yeah.
very rough times in basketball. So,
Oh yeah,
anyways,
they haven't been good since the Steve Nash era.
oh dude, Amari Stout, dude, but that was fun to watch. That was like Lob City Part One, just to be real honest. It was pretty fun to watch. Um,
For sure.
you know, but dude, like I said, when you talk about all this COVID-19 stuff and people using Zoom, I don't know. Zoom is weird, dude. I don't know. I don't know where I stand on it. It's just it's mighty convenient how we happen to have this program readily available too. Like, can we find the person that was like, "Hey, we got Zoom"? Like, can we find that person and just
It
like,
feels like a much more efficient Skype.
well, I mean, it is, but it's just like, who came up with this idea, and why are you so interested in making this more productive? You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Yeah.
what if this was secretly invented by like some corporate office to make sure that their workers like never leave work? You know,
I
like,
mean, my my odds are is maybe Russia or China.
and that's the other thing. Like, who owns this company? I don't even know that. Like, is the intellectual property owned in this country? Because like a lot of people also don't realize this. Okay, so the headquarters is in San Jose, but the one thing that I always think is interesting when it comes to these companies is sometimes they're invested with like a bunch of foreign money. Like for example,
Yeah.
okay, listen to this, okay? Woo! All right, here we go. Dropping some fire, baby. Zoom is headquartered in San Jose, and its founder is Eric Yuan, who is birthplace is Shandong, China. So it's not owned by China. It's just got somebody who was born there. That's the founder.
A Chinese national as CEO.
So really interesting, right? I'm sure that once that goes viral, a lot of people will probably have some interesting things to say. Because that's what they said about TikTok, right?
Right, yeah, because it's a Chinese entity that collects data, and there's a right way to have that critique of that, and then there's also a racist way to do it.
Yeah,
So it's a very like fine line about it.
dude. I mean, like, I think that the most interesting thing that I've heard about all of that, like in terms of like TikTok and who it's owned by, um, I don't know, dude. It's just like our military won't even let people download that. Like you can't download TikTok on like a military device. And I get the argument would
I
be
mean,
like you
I
can't.
understand why.
Well, the argument is that like, well, yo, you can't even download like you don't download Facebook on your business phone, which is also true. So I don't know, dude. It's just conveniently placed, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Like I don't know how I feel about Zoom and how it's conveniently just there waiting for everybody. Like I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. Something else that like I've noticed. I mean, just going off this idea of
Can you say that again? My bad. I didn't hear you. Kind of cut out.
Huawei. There's a just speaking on Chinese businesses. Like there's a 5% of our Wi-Fi. There's a lot of, like Wi-Fi here, like in our, which I thought was interesting. I thought you couldn't even have Huawei in the United States because I thought like it was outlawed here because of privacy issues.
You know what's interesting is we just completely started having internet connections there, connection problems there. So I missed.
Over.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just talking about
Oh, hey,
Huawei.
I don't think you can talk about it, man. It's going out every time you talk about it. And now it's just completely buffering. Yeah, I don't.
Well, we got through most of this podcast without too many technical issues, but yeah, there's a Huawei. There's a Huawei Wi-Fi hub, whether it's somebody's phone or somebody's computer. Like I mean, I thought that was about like a lot of it. I thought like you can't even buy Huawei products in the United States because of privacy issues.
Yeah, they're banned from being exported here, if I remember right. Like I think it's, but I know that people still buy them, and then like they buy them internationally somehow, and then they'll I don't know what it's called. Is it um, what is it called when you hack a phone? I forgot. Unlock it or whatever.
Yeah, unlocking.
They unlock it to those networks, and it allows them to use it on that. But yeah, dude, I mean, there's a lot of privacy issues when it comes to some of these companies, and not to throw any shade at Zoom. I think Zoom is doing a great job of fitting everybody's needs. I just, like I said, I think it's super interesting that all of a sudden this thing is available, and obviously, dude, there's this whole thing with you know where this virus came from. So I know a lot of people are kind of on edge with that, and it's a touchy subject, man. I mean, remember earlier this year when the NBA got in trouble for talking about China or Hong Kong? It was like the guy from the Rockets.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
Right.
look where we're at now. Like, have you noticed that nobody has trashed China during this whole thing? Like, nobody politically. Like, I know our president.
Well,
I
yeah.
know our president.
Except for him.
But like, hold on, dude. He called it the Chinese virus like a ton, right?
Yeah.
And then the very next day, he said he got, or like maybe a day after, he got off the phone with Z or Xi,
Mm-hmm.
however you want to pronounce his name,
Jai?
Xi Z, the leader of China, and he stopped calling it the Chinese virus. Like it's super ironic and it's super eyebrow raising. But like he was like, yeah, Chinese virus, Chinese virus, Chinese virus, and then all of a sudden he has his phone call, and after the phone call, the next tweet it's COVID virus. Like literally, it's you can look at the tweet that he has it in, and like it's almost like he had the tweet typed out, and then he went back and edited the part where it said China and changed it to coronavirus. You know what I mean? Because he didn't even call it
Weird.
COVID-19. He called it COVID virus. Like who refers to it as that? The COVID virus. You know what I mean? It was just very
White
strange.
people.
It's one of those things, man, where I don't know, dude. I think that this might be one of the most interesting pandemics the world has ever seen.
Mm-hmm. It's a pandemic in the digital age. Like we've never had that before.
But
Like you know,
we're still not 100% certain that this was not intentional.
I mean, I don't know anything about that. I cannot offer an educated opinion on that. But
It's interesting how we have no clue. China's saying it was developed here. We're saying it was from there. The scientists are saying it was from a bat in China.
you're right.
That's the point that I'm making, right? It's not necessarily that like it's some super like hot take like, oh my gosh, I think this was like the start of a war. No. Hold on. What I'm
Right.
saying is this is just weird because yo, if we were making a movie and like it was like that Contagion movie where they were like, where's patient zero, or that World War
Mm-hmm.
Z movie where it's like, where's patient zero, dude, this would be really weird because where exactly is patient zero? And if it was there and the numbers are super low, but they've lost over 20 million cell phone users, what's going on? Like, dude, it's just
I don't know, man.
it's weird. But there's a lot of people that have been talking about this too. They're like, hey, you realize that I know that there's been a switch from 4G to 5G, but is that the reason why there's almost 20 million people in China that no longer have cell phone numbers?
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
and legitimately, it's something that a lot of people would say, okay, hold on, not really sure. Look, you can look it up right now on different news sites, but it just talks about how there have been a lot of Chinese cell phone users that suddenly no longer have service. And the numbers are as high as 21 million. But
So,
so
so is it inferring that 21 million people have died from the virus?
I think it's
And
inferring that people are missing and we don't know why they're missing. Or that many people moved to 5G. Yeah, that
seems like a weird
20
seems like a weird time during a pandemic to move to 5G.
Dude, gotta get yo, if I'm stuck at home, man, I need this 5G, bro. need this 5G, bro. I gotta make the
Not wrong.
switch. Like before I can't even go to Starbucks and stuff, but like I need this 5G, man. Like 21
Yeah,
million
bro.
of us need this 5G.
Yeah, bro. When you're in quarantine, he needs a high def tech. I've been looking at PC specs for like the past 2 weeks.
I mean, dude,
Gotta keep yourself entertained.
dude, it's weird, man. I mean, look, here's the other aspect of this. How many people are streaming right now? How many people are on Netflix right now? How many people are on Disney? I mean, dude, the internet must be just getting like overloaded right now. Like,
Yeah.
I,
Only so much bandwidth to go around.
and it's something that nobody's really paying too much attention to either. Like, it kind of makes you wonder, like, dude, even though all this is going on, even though all this chaos, we're having to do, podcasts in weird ways, and other podcasts are doing this, other TV shows are doing this. It just kind of goes to show we're still lucky to have electricity, to have, internet. Dude,
Water, yeah.
my trash continuously gets picked up. You can go to the grocery store, like you were saying earlier. Sam went to the grocery store. Like, dude, things may be bad, but keep in mind, they're still a lot better than they've ever been before. You know what I mean? For a lot of people, it's a lot better than it's ever been before.
Oh yeah, I mean it is it's better and worse at the same time, which is weird. Like which I feel like is like a perfect encapsulation of of 2020 is that we're experiencing a pandemic from the luxury of our home, like which is weird.
Exactly. And like I said, it's going to be interesting, these history books, whenever we get through this as a species, and when history looks back on this, man, it's going to be so interesting to come back and study this, though. Because like I said, even when you talk about the Spanish flu, you talked about the Spanish flu earlier, how the second wave was harder. And dude,
Mm-hmm.
like, what about the coronavirus, right? Like, what
Right.
facts are we going to be saying like that about the coronavirus?
Exactly.
And I don't know, dude. Like I said, I'm not somebody that's gonna believe everything that I read and feed into everything that I read. But it is mighty strange. And I think everybody's looking at those numbers of like, oh, China only had that many people die? And everybody's just kind of looking at each other like,
Sure, Jan.
yeah, they haven't had the most losses. I mean, I don't know, dude. At first I was super impressed that China was able to build a hospital within a week. Like, you remember that when that news broke? Like, all of a sudden
Exactly.
they cleared ground, okay? They cleared an entire like patch of ground, and they just built an entire hospital dedicated to the coronavirus, and they built it in a week. Like, it was one of the strangest things I've ever seen in like my life. And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, dude, they're ready. Like, yeah, they're gonna do this." And now I look back and I'm like, "Yo, why were they so ready? What all like? How do they know?
Studies the question.
You know what I mean? Like, how do they know? Like, hey, man, yo, we're gonna need a hospital just for this. Like, we're gonna need to stop everybody from doing everything immediately.
Right.
Like that. I mean, to put it in perspective, I'm gonna do something real quick. I just want to. This hospital was built in the beginning of February. They built it in 10 days. 10 days, excuse me. And it was I'm talking from scratch. Like, there was nothing there. One of the funniest stories that I heard about that, though, was that people in China were bored because they were locked down. So like,
Right.
watching them build the hospital turned into like its own TV show. Like it's kind of weird, kind of nerdy too. But, they just like they started like naming the construction workers
That
and
is
like,
very strange.
but like if you got nothing to do, and I guess TV's probably
Really.
not as
Yeah, man. I mean, hell, I admit I watched marble racing the past week.
Wait, you watched what? What'd you watch?
Marble racing, bro.
What is
Have
that?
you not seen the marble racing?
No, what is that?
Oh my gosh, it's like this YouTube channel where this dude races marbles. Like you can literally like it's like there's a video on. I think they're showing it on the ESPN HBO show now because I think they're doing that programming. There's a dude who literally will build courses for marble races. And you can like place bets on the marbles on seeing who won. Yeah, bro. We as a society are dying without sports. I am dying without sports. Like
Dude, have you watched that Tiger show on Netflix?
no, I haven't. It's on my to-do list this week. So
Oh my.
my quarantine two right now is the rest of Hunters. I got to finish Hunters, and
Okay.
then watching the Tiger Show, and then we're gonna start The Sopranos.
Ooh.
As an Italian, I have not seen The Sopranos.
Honestly, dude, I watched the first episode of The Sopranos like literally 2 days ago, and I was like, eh. I mean, it just takes you. Sometimes it takes me a while. I'll tell you one show I'm watching right now is Westworld. I started watching. I'm watching that again. Westworld's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I forgot. I know that the new season dropped because Nathan and Christy were watching it when we were staying there, but I'm still like halfway through season two, and I've kind of been like whelmed by season two. I haven't been super impressed.
Dude,
It's solid.
yeah,
It's an HBO show, and HBO shows are always pretty good.
yeah. I'm barely on like episode like 2 or 3 of Westworld on season 2. Dude, I don't know though. Like, the other thing about entertainment right now is I'm sure a lot of these like streaming companies are just pumped. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh yeah, Disney Plus, Netflix. Like I've got Amazon right now. I've got YouTube TV. I've got Verb. I've got I've got Hulu. It's just like, oh my gosh, dude. HBO. You know, it's just
Yeah,
like,
bro. We got HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus. Am I missing any big ones?
you probably are, man. There's like 8 of them.
I know, bro. There's too many streaming options. Plus, I'm also paying for PlayStation Plus, and I'm playing, and yeah, and PlayStation Plus, and then I think that's all my subscriptions and Spotify. So like, you know,
Oh yeah. I don't know, dude. And then like in the gaming world, I mean, shoot, I know we play a lot of Hearthstone. Hearthstone's got a lot of new stuff out, dude. I mean, have you seen that?
yeah,
It,
yeah, dude. New expansion in 5 days,
have
and
you?
I haven't even mentally prepared for that either. Like, I mean,
Mm,
I watched the Twitch stream the other day where all the streamers were playing the new cards. By the way, like Demon Hunter was absolutely bonkers.
right,
That class looks so good.
right. I'm really excited about potentially getting onto some Demon Hunter.
Yeah,
Potentially, making
I
some.
my takeaways from it because I watched like did you watch any of that stream at all? Like all the stuff. So my takeaways from that were that Dormant is a horrible mechanic, except for the one Demon Hunter card, the 5 mana 10/6 that hits for 10. That's the
Oh,
only like busted Dormant card.
dude, that card is so busted. It's just like, oh yeah, how are you gonna deal with this? It deals 7, dude. What are you playing that's gonna live by that point in the game? Because I think it's like it might even be like a turn 5 or turn 7 drop. I don't know.
It's a turn 5 drop, so
Yeah.
so it comes alive on turn 7. That's the only Dormant card that I think is like really busted. I think everything
Yeah.
else is very underwhelming because any other card like that's also because Demon Hunter is a class that like you're so tempo oriented that you're already ahead by the time that you play that card. Like you have a weapon developed or you played a cheapo spell for spot removal or something like that. And like that card is basically just Reno on steroids.
It's gonna be interesting to see how people like choose to attack building Demon Hunter, and then like because there's a couple different versions that people have I've saw stream. Like there's like the make a lot of minions and kind of like weenie rush type thing, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and then there's like tempo drops. Like you can make it a mid range deck. I think you could definitely
Yeah.
make it a mid range deck. So I don't know, man. Like I'm really interested to see how the meta shapes up with that. And then you got a bunch of new priest cards, dude. I know mage has gotten a lot of love. in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, there's literally gonna be Casino Mage again, which is, there's gonna be a deck that comes out where you literally don't play any minions, and like
that's insane.
that's exactly what I want out of a mage deck. It's just the most high rolling, nonsensical, stupid ass deck that I can just cheese my way to victory.
Play the
And you can
slot
play
machine.
and you can play Amazing Reno in it, which is even the best, which is even a more amazing part. Because like Amazing Reno doesn't count as a minion, so you can play that card that says if your deck has no minions, reduce all the cost of your spells by one.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, so like that card's just stupid. Like,
yeah.
so I'm excited. There's gonna be good ones, and it seems like my boy Paladin got some good cards too. So I'm hoping Paladin can come back to life a little bit.
Yeah, dude, I think that the other thing to look at with Mage is they got a new legendary too that immediately helps. That's neutral. The every third spell you play is 0. I mean,
Right.
I was watching some people do ridiculous stuff with that. And Hunter, I was watching Brian Kibler do some crazy stuff with that. Obviously, I saw some Mage decks play that and play like Power of Creation, like super, like a turn early, maybe like 2 turns
Yeah.
early, because they had small spells. So
Yeah, well, I saw a really cool combo. It was like it was with the dude who does that. The third spell free is in Hunter, where like on turn 8 you
mm-hmm.
play him twin, and then play the twin spell, one damage, and then the 10 drops that comes 4/3/5 that attacks it. Which that card I think is insane. Like some people I won't name names of certain people that we know that play Hearthstone who doesn't think that card is very good. I think it's gonna be really good. Because I mean, I don't know. I want 12 damage first.
It was
I
a
don't know how
cool.
magic
It,
works.
I saw Brian Kibler do that actually. It was really cool seeing that combo. He did it, and you can do it like more than once, right? Because that deck is not. I don't know if that deck is Highlander or not.
No, I mean you could build it Highlander, but like yeah, I mean theoretically, like on turn 10, if you have two of the twin spells in that dude, if your hand is like the 6 drop, 2 copies of the twin spell, and then 2 copies of the 10 drop, like theoretically you can do that. Like
I think
you
another
know,
way to do it is like coin and then twin spell, or coin and then a one cost spell, and then play it.
yeah,
Like there's ways to.
coin one cost spell,
Hmm.
10 drop, yeah.
So like, I think that's how I saw Kibler do it on like super early turn, like turn 5 or
Mm-hmm.
turn 6. I was just like, oh my gosh, like that is ugh, And so
Yeah,
I don't know, from that aspect, I think it has some potential. Rogue secrets are apparently something that a lot of people are pretty excited about, and I think it's going to be good just for the fact that like it's going to make your opponent have to know every secret, and it's going to generate
yeah,
so many cards that your opponent's just going to have to deal with going through so many cards, all that card. I think it'll definitely be like in the, I think it's Conquest, right? In that league, I think it'll be definitely a deck that people will bring with them.
yeah. I think we're also going to see. I think probably one of the day one crafts for a lot of people is I think going to be the Maya Shadow Tongue or Shadow Tongue card, the 4 mana 4/3 choose a minion. It goes dormant for 2 turns. I think that card's really strong. I think that's probably the best neutral legendary in the set.
Dude, my favorite. Dude, I don't know. I think the best neutral legendary is probably that every third spell is free. That card is
Yeah,
bullshit.
that one's pretty solid too.
But I mean, I think both cards are great. And obviously you got to spin dust on that one, so you got to go ahead and go get
Yeah,
that one. But I don't know, dude. I think that another interesting way to look at it is this new expansion brought an upgrade to a lot of battleground stuff too. And I'll tell you what, man, Cobalt being gone, the new mech is pretty dang good. Like
is
it's
it good? I haven't been offered it yet.
yeah,
It took
it's
like maybe 5 games.
yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, new battlegrounds is really interesting for Hearthstone. I think that some of the new heroes are kind of good. I don't necessarily think that the demon. I don't think Ilion is or whatever is really good in battlegrounds. I think he's pretty terrible.
So,
Yeah, I think it's pretty
yeah,
bad.
the
Um,
one where your left and right minions attack first, right? Instead of
yeah,
healing.
and like
Yeah,
obviously the first thing that people think is like, oh yeah, cleavers, but like you got to get cleavers. So, you know,
you get something done.
yeah, and so I don't know, dude. I don't know that it's great. Deathwing is still really good, but yeah, Cobalt being gone is quite interesting. The new mech
Yeah,
is
I
super
mean,
solid.
it had to happen. It had to happen.
It was basically the amalgam. Like, it basically is like, dude, if you get Cobalt, you're gonna build around it a lot of the time. Like,
Yeah. Doesn't matter if you're playing Dragon, you're gonna Cobalt and a like Divine Shield Recycler. Like it's just gonna happen. Like
yeah,
it doesn't matter what your other 5 minions are, but if you've got a Cobalt Guardian and a Harvest Golem, like you're gonna keep it.
yeah. Cobalt was just so splashable. That was one of the things that made people, are like, dude, it's gotta go, man. It can't stay here.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's been a lot of stuff going on in Hearthstone. We have a lot of content on our YouTube channel if you're interested in talking about that or checking that out. But we talk about the new Hall of Fame cards. We talk about the fact that there's a bunch of new cards that are about to be rotating in. We talk about some new combos for Demon Hunter. So if you want to check that out, you should definitely give that a look. It's under our Hearthstone playlist if you want to check that out. But dude, crazy times right now. Just keep staying safe. You know what I mean? Keep trying to be positive.
We will see each other soon here.
Dude, soon. Soon. Soon.
Soon. Oh my gosh. One day we'll eventually see each other in person again.
Dude, this whole, I'll tell you what, whenever we're done with all this, we're going to be a lot stronger through it. I hope that we all are better gamers, better streamers, better or washing our hands, all that. But I hope that there's some positives that come out of this because there's definitely some opportunities for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we'll get better at this if we have to, work with our telecommunications. It'll only get better and better, and hopefully in the next few weeks I have a PC.
Dude, that would be super clutch. Guys, once again, we're going to try our best to provide a podcast to you, even if this is what we have to do, even if it's got to be me solo, even, if it's got to be just a shortened podcast altogether. We're going to try to provide you guys a podcast every week, no matter what, in terms of the things that are going on. And the only, one of the reasons why we're attacking that is, we want you guys to know that we value doing this. We value bringing you guys this content. It's fun to do. It's something that I think helps. There's some gamers that listen to this podcast. We got people listening from all parts of Tennessee. We've got people listening from different states, so it's been really cool to just kind of take this journey. And if you guys, enjoyed listening to us, please make sure you hit that like, that subscribe button. Please make sure you're checking us out. We will release another podcast next Saturday. And Nick, dude, thanks for being clutch and coming through, man. I know that
man. This is fun.
We finally got a chance to get a legit interview with you. At least we got audio somewhat correct on this one, huh?
Yeah, for real. This wasn't too bad. And, I think I might try to hardline in on my next, I might just hardline into the Ethernet on my next one to maybe see if our internet will be a little bit better. Which, by the way, you might want to consider doing if you want to get like 100-foot Ethernet cord. That'll probably make your streams run a lot more efficiently. Not that they aren't, but like,
Oh yeah, dude. I'm thinking about
mitigate your technical difficulties.
I'm gonna move my laptop. I'm gonna move this computer to my Ethernet cable, man. That's what I'm gonna do next time. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you want to find more podcasts from us, you can find us on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, pretty much everywhere. If you want to check out more of our content, we are on YouTube, Total Media Live. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Please stay safe. Please continue washing your hands, and we will see you next week. Thank you, guys.
Peace.